All right, gather round. Tonight, I have something for you. Think of it as a very dark bedtime story. It's a tale from a forgotten age, a warning, really, about the absolute folly of control and the ancient, laughing chaos that's always waiting just beyond the edge of the light.
And you see, this particular stage is set for three beings who just defy all order. They look at the very idea of law and see it as the biggest joke in the universe. They are the authors of the world's oldest, messiest mischief. For centuries, they were sealed up inside this tall, jagged spire. The first of these siblings is the wit, a being whose mind, whose cleverness isn't for building things, oh no. It's for taking apart the very foundations of logic itself. Then there's the hunger. And you've got to understand, these things, they're not from the world of men or monsters. Their appetites are for things much more abstract than, say, flesh or gold. And finally, we have the small. Now, when these three laugh together, it's described as a jagged blade, a sound that once cut through the silence of ancient stone. And now, well, now it cuts through the silence of all our assumptions.
So, what is it they're so against? It's this idea: static control. The belief that everything can be neatly ordered, put in a box, and locked into these gilded cages of logic. The moment the ancient seals on their prison cracked, they just spilled out into the world like living ink, with one single purpose: to tear that whole idea apart.
And who, you might ask, would be foolish enough to even try and challenge them? A monarch, of course. A king who traded his soul for cosmic secrets, who actually believes he can bridle the unbridled with a few forbidden spells. He just doesn't get it. You can't bind chaos with the very laws it was born to break.
And right here, you can just see how hopeless his plan is. On one side, you have the monarch's tools, his little chants, and this stiff, rigid sense of majesty. And on the other, the very nature of the spirits, pure, primal, untamable chaos, and that jagged laughter. It's not a fair fight. It's not even the same sport. So the sovereign's little attempt goes exactly how you'd think it would. He starts his big incantation, and the spirits just mock him. They twist his dark spells into this frantic, humiliating little dance of rhythmic stumbles until his authority, his whole reality, just collapses around him. And the result of all this, the king's center of power, his grim, gray fortress, is completely transformed. It stops being a seat of authority and becomes a surreal playhouse. And in this playhouse, under their influence, the very concept of logic dies a slow, colorful, and probably very agonizing death. And this is where we get to the first great lesson of the story. The spirits visit these so-called arbiters of stasis to teach them one simple truth. Any attempt you make to impose an absolute, permanent law on a world that is always in flux, well, it's like writing a contract with disappearing ink. It's an illusion, and it is destined to fade. This really gets to the core of the whole parable. You see, it isn't just a story about magical beings. It's asking a really fundamental question about power itself. Why did his spells, his majesty, his entire system fail so completely and so comically? And here is the answer. His power failed because it wasn't real strength at all. It was just a desperate attempt to hide his own terror, a fear of chaos, a fear of the unknown, a fear of everything he couldn't control. That iron-fisted rule was nothing but a mask for a deep, hollow fragility. See, the spirits don't beat him with armies or spells. They take his ego apart with unsettling truths, with smiles that have way too many teeth for a mortal face. They weave his worst nightmares into jokes just to strip away the comfort of his illusions. So what do they actually want? It's not power, not in the way we think of it. They don't want gold. They don't want thrones. They are final sentinels, you see, and their job is to test the spirit of any seeker. The only thing they crave is that beautiful, liberating sound of a seeker's rigid expectations shattering into a million pieces.
And that shattering sound, well, that's what's known as honest currency. It's the only prize that actually matters. By forcing the destruction of all these false beliefs and rigid structures, the spirits create an opening, a shift in the soul, away from exhaustion and toward the raw, creative potential of the void. It all builds to this ultimate lesson. Real sovereignty, it isn't about control. It's about embracing the unbinding power of the absurd. It's having the wisdom to see your greatest plans fail, to watch your logic turn to dust, and to have the grace to perform a grave dance on the ruins.
And our monarch? What's left of him? In the end, his crown of forbidden knowledge is gone. His power is dissolved into a punchline. He's left with the perfect symbol of his foolishness, a tattered jester's hat. A little reminder that he was just a prop in a comedy he never even understood.
The spirits, they vanish back into the mist, but they always leave something behind. A silence that's heavier than stone, vibrating with the ghost of their final mocking laugh. It's a haunting little reminder that control is always an illusion, and the most dangerous magic of all is the kind that refuses to take the world seriously. The only question is, can you hear it?